Welcome to a special edition of All Lacrosse Live. It's Sunday morning, and you're going to have breakfast with the boys. With me, of course, as always, I have Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan today. How are you, Moose Jaw?
Doing pretty good, Gary. Thanks.
It's so hard to keep track of you, man. You and Eduardo, the two roving guys, man.
And next week I'll be in Saskatoon for the next show. So
that's great too. Yeah, I got the Saskatchewan Worlds, and we'll get into that in a few minutes, and all the fun and festivity of Canadian lacrosse and why we're where we are. And over in Connecticut, I got Muffler Mike Kostiuk. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's very calm over there, isn't it? You know? Canadian lacrosse doesn't reach that.
Yeah.
It's the same room every week. I don't go
Mike
anywhere.
Doesn't get the drama.
That's all right. Mike's going to go on the open season in a couple of weeks' time, and that'll be the end of that. You know, anyway. Stick him in his captain's hat, and he's all set. Lacrosse stick. Anyways, we got a big show, man. We have lots of things. Free agency opened up in the NLL this week, and we had lots of movement and lots of signings. We've got a message from Canadian Lacrosse to this junior tournament that Shawn is going to be attending. We have OJLL playoffs. We have BC playoffs. We have OSL that's moving into the finals. We have all kinds of things going on. PLL, MSL, WLA. But before we do any of that, let's get on to the network stuff, and then we'll get on with everything. So remember that all the episodes are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on ELPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. You can enjoy all of our affiliates. As you can see, we have many, many shows. Broad Street Bully Podcast, Philly Press Box Radio, Edge of Philly Sports Live, Bird's Eye Q, Patterson Avenue Fanatics, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, Devereaux Sports, The Painted Lines, Party on Broad, and my favorite, and one who got a big workout yesterday, Steel Steps, especially with SummerSlam. If you missed a show, no worries. Grab the podcast on all the major podcasting companies, Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. And you can also check us out on the EOP YouTube page. And if you're looking for our show in particular, go to All Lacrosse All the Time on YouTube, and you can catch our library there. Remember, you can stay up to date on all sports by visiting ELPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. If you're looking for a place to go, Dolan's is your place to be. 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park. They have music, great times. They have memorabilia, all kinds of things. If you want to check it out before you go there, go to dolansbar.com. But really, have a beer with the boys. Get yourselves over to 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park and go to Dolan's. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need more of a personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050 or visit their office at 1382 Nauman's Creek Road, Suite 1, Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best. Sherry'sTicket.com and save an extra 10% by using the promo code EOP10. I threw a couple extra things on here because this is the last day for the Ultimate San Diego trip. So if you want to go to that, you're going to want to get on that site pronto and hook yourself up for the September 2nd to 6th trip over there to San Diego to watch the Phillies. A few other trips that are up and coming are Eagles trips. You have the Ultimate Tampa Bay trip, September 22nd to 26th. You have the New England trip, which is September 8th to 11th, and the Ultimate Los Angeles trip, which is October 5th to 9th. All different prices, all different ideas. Give them a check out over at phillysportstrips.com. If you need some problem, if you have some problems legally, David Archerry and his firm, the Cherry Firm, will be more than happy to help you out. Workers' comp, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law. CherryInjuryLaw.com or give them a call at 610-565-0300 and tell them the boys from EOP sent you. Well, guys, we had a couple of things there in the Canadian lacrosse. First of all, this ridiculous statement, World Lacrosse also came out with it, yeah?
Yeah.
So let's put it up and and we'll see what this is all about. Or the IIJL World Junior Championship scheduled for August 7th to 12th in Saskatoon is not a World Lacrosse or Lacrosse Canada sanctioned event. All member associations under Lacrosse, under LC, should not be sanctioning nor supporting the event in any way. WL is the recognized world body for lacrosse and is the only lacrosse body that can sanction world championships. LC and its MAs, as members of World Lacrosse and also Support Canada, support World Lacrosse. Any references to Team Canada is not part of the LC National Team Program, and therefore there is no Team Canada participating in this event. Remember, LC is Lacrosse Canada, WL, World Lacrosse. As per Lacrosse Canada Policy 5.1.5, Team Canada refers only to sanctioned and officially recognized Canadian national teams operated under the jurisdiction of Lacrosse Canada. Any players participating in this event should be aware they will not be playing for Team Canada, but a team put together of Canadian players not sanctioned by World Lacrosse or Lacrosse Canada. These players will not be recognized as legitimate Team Canada players, nor be covered by any insurance under Lacrosse Canada. Any officials participating in these events would not be covered under Lacrosse Canada insurance. Further to above, the Members Association of Lacrosse Canada approved the following policy at the Lacrosse Canada annual meeting on November 20th, 2021. Domestically and internationally, no registered participant, junior and under, may play or participate in any non-approved competition, namely any competitions not approved by World Lacrosse or any of its national governing bodies, including Lacrosse Canada and provincial or territorial sport organization, without first obtaining the permission of their Lacrosse Canada member association. Any participation in non-sanctioned events will result in loss of eligibility for all national championships and Team Canada events. Well, guys, that's pretty black and white, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm heading to Saskatoon. I don't even know what there's even going to be a tournament now. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering about that myself because it doesn't make a whole lot of leeway for anybody who's going to play, right? At least not here.
And that's the thing. We've already seen, and I don't know for sure if this is a direct result, but we've already seen Haudenosaunee and Ireland pull out. They're not in the tournament. They were originally scheduled. They're gone. We've seen no rosters announced. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. Like, I think there's no disputing it's a non-sanctioned event. This has always been an independent tournament. But I guess what maybe grinds my gears a little bit is not supporting it.
Yeah.
Or not trying to work with IIJL or the Canadian Lacrosse League to find a way to sanction this event.
Well, bottom line is we're trying to grow the game, right? Isn't that the bottom line to all of this?
Yeah.
So by not sanctioning it and really threatening anybody who is going to play it, we're not growing anything, are we? We're giving an opportunity to play in Saskatoon, which is a hotbed of lacrosse now, and expose a lot of juniors to a lot of big-time competition and get them ready for the next level. And now we're taking all that away, and if anything, we're going the other way, saying, not a chance. And if you do try it, you're never playing for us. Not really the best of ways to go about it in my eyes. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't want to call them threats or ultimatums, but to take that stance, basically that, well, you can't play unless it's something we approve of. I would think that the governing bodies would have maybe something in their framework, as far as exemptions for other associations that might be trying to grow the game just like them, but maybe, don't have the clout or, whatever's needed to get sanctioned.
I think part of the issue too is, and Gary can kind of maybe follow up on this a little bit too, but there's kind of actually two sanctioning bodies in Canada. There's the Canadian Lacrosse League, which is putting this on or hosting this, and then there's Lacrosse Canada.
Yeah.
So who's who? Like,
Well, remember that the CLA, the Canadian Lacrosse Association, ran into all the problem with the pros, that they disbanded and they then morphed into Canadian Lacrosse. And even that, like there's no checks and balances. Everything is, we're omnipotent. We can do whatever we want, and we're going to make all the rules. When really, is that really the right way to go about it? We're trying to get as many people involved as possible, and we're trying to get it in legitimate tournaments and other things that are going on. And we talked with Michelle Boyer about the females nonsense that's been going on, because there's no checks and balances and they're all omnipotent. And to me, there's a problem with all that, because if they can do whatever they want, what's to stop them from doing bigger things soon? As soon as said exactly what we want, and no, your team can't come in. No, we don't. So when does this all stop?
well, and that's
And,
my other,
yeah, sorry, Sean, go ahead.
sorry. That's just my other question too. Is like, this World Juniors is not a new tournament.
No.
And
No, it's
so why all of a sudden are they having meetings and all of a sudden just putting a kibosh to this tournament after several years? Like, it makes no sense.
Right, exactly. And, it's just after we had a very successful World Championships, which was run by World Lacrosse and the people in San Diego. Let's not give them credit for that. And, they work very, very good in partnership with. So why can't you work in partnership with this group? It just becomes we're better than you kind of thing, and puff your chest out and dig your heels in. And then the people who lose in all this is, number one, the players, number two, the fans, because you have 5 days of absolutely fantastic lacrosse ahead of you. Win or lose, whatever, doesn't make a difference. But some great experience for a lot of these players who are up and coming to the next level, probably in the draft that's up and coming in the next month.
Yeah.
So again, it leaves you scratching your head of, why can't we get out of our own way in order to make this thing as big as it should be? It should be way bigger than it is now.
I was just going to say, Gary, you mentioned the fans. Let's look at hockey. How big is the World Hockey Championships?
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
And where did it come from? It was a tiny thing that they grew correctly.
Yeah.
And allowed. And, along the way, there were other tournaments. And nobody sat and got in each other's way. If anything, they helped bolster it. And then in return, when you had yours, everybody came into. It's not these factions and different little things. We had the same problem with OLA, the Ontario Lacrosse Association here in Ontario. And, they're omnipotent, their own governing body, but they don't do the right thing most of the time. They do what they think is right, but, they haven't changed with the times. Sometimes I think we're just coming into the 20th century with some of the things that they're doing. And every time somebody younger with ideas come in, they get kiboshed enough that they get distracted and discouraged and leave. And I guess that's the end goal, so that nothing has to change. But if nothing changes, we don't grow. And if we don't grow, well, then we start declining eventually, and you lose the good people, both players and management.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I can tell you right now, Gary, Team Australia is already in Saskatoon.
Yeah, I saw their post.
What happens if they cancel this tournament? Do they have to all go back now after going all that way?
What about all the fees that were paid?
Yeah.
Fees, hotels, everything else. Yeah, you got a great point.
And here's another question. They played an exhibition game against the Saskatchewan SWAT. Are they going to get sanctioned for having an exhibition game against an international team?
Another really good point, because that's not even in their letter of non-tournament games, exhibition games. If you can find a loophole, make the whole thing exhibition.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can be the champion of the exhibition tournament.
Right. Hey, that brings up a couple of good points. I think we talked off the air about kind of a similar situation with that Tewaaraton Lacrosse League.
Yeah.
That was forming, and saw a ton of posts about it. They had a draft. advertised it, and then after the draft, I can't recall seeing anything
Nothing. They scared
happening
him out
with
of
it.
it. They
Yeah.
scared him out with sanctions.
So,
And what they put out a memo to all the players saying that if you play with it, you have given up your right to play anything, anywhere OLA.
wow.
Well, of course, any player that wanted to make it to the NLL immediately went, I withdraw.
And
Let alone the
I'm
entire
just-
Six Nations team that pulled out, and a new Six Nations team came in, the Six Nations Arrows, right?
Right.
Because that one under Cody Jamieson now is the one because the other team pulled out. Which was
and when it comes to these tournaments in World Lacrosse's statement, there's actually an IIJL, I believe, under 18 in Utica that they're also saying they're not going to sanction.
So yeah, this gets messier the more you dig into it, really.
Yeah, yeah. And Sean just mentioned that exhibition there. That made me think of, how is World Lacrosse going to view, say, the friendly that Ireland and the Haudenosaunee are supposed to have at some point,
Mm-hmm.
as kind of a goodwill gesture for Ireland pulling out of the sixes to allow
Right.
Haudenosaunee to play.
Right.
Because they'll probably sanction that.
Well, they're on that kick now, right? So omnipotent is omnipotent, right? So, I think that they need to pull back, honestly. There has to be some give and take in some of this, and there should be some negotiations done. I understand you are the governing body. Okay, govern. But don't be putting your fist down and stopping everything from going on, because that doesn't make any sense. Not for growing the game, not for growing the players, not for growing your base. Not on any level does it make sense to just say, nope, can't do it.
And I'm going to bring up this point too, and it's so they made in that statement said they made this decision in 2021. Why did they come up with this statement? Both the World Lacrosse and Lacrosse Canada bring out this statement days before this tournament is going to start. If they were against it from the start, why wouldn't they say it, months ahead? Like they knew this tournament was coming.
Yeah.
Why now?
Well, obviously, we all knew it was coming. You were credentialed a month ago.
Yeah.
Which makes even less sense because everybody knew about it, especially if they had their credentials in order, which usually doesn't happen until a lot sooner than that. So obviously they were organized and everything is raring, ready to go. So yeah, for it to be this is a backroom deal going, well, we can't work with them, so yeah, we're going to stop it. So it is the seedy backroom politics at its finest.
Yeah, because that just made me think of another question. If you're someone who's on a team who's going to play in this tournament, what's hurting World Lacrosse or Lacrosse Canada by you playing in this tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What exactly are you sacrificing?
And if they are concerned about insurance, et cetera, sanction it. Work with IIJL, work with Canadian Lacrosse League.
See, that's the thing.
Sanction it.
You're going to hit them where it hurts because if no insurance, you're definitely not going to get a player playing.
Because I'm sure they probably got insurance through IIJL or Canadian Lacrosse League, but it's just not Canadian Lacrosse insurance, right?
Right. So, regardless, this story is far from over, I'm sure. It'd be really interesting this week when it's supposed to start. Tuesday, is it? Tomorrow.
Monday.
Yeah. So, stay tuned, folks, and stay on to the All Lacrosse all the time sites and ELP Sports because we'll be there, and Shawn will be there in Saskatoon covering it for us, whether there's a game to cover or just politics to cover. So, you always wanted to be a political reporter, didn't you?
Yeah, look at that.
Capitol Hill. Oh my. Anyways, Canada Lacrosse did come out with their coaches for the sanctioned World Lacrosse Indoor Championships in Utica, New York. That fine world-class place. Anywhere in the world, right? Utica. Anyways, Troy Cordingley is your head coach. Tammy Rayner, general manager. Troy Santos, assistant coach. Krista Loves, assistant coach. Corey Henkowich, assistant coach. And Megan Kingston, which is scout and film coordinator. having Troy on there, that's all of a sudden big time right away.
Yeah.
I look forward to a lot of good stuff, and I have already started making plans for that tournament, September 2024, over in Utica, New York. In a sense, for me, it's great that it's close. Saves me flying. I can drive there, but 11 days and both indoor and outdoor men's. All indoor men's and women's both. First time that the women have the World Championship as well. So this is huge. So
Definitely.
In one hand, we're talking about how they're shooting themselves in the foot, and the other hand, they're growing themselves. I just wish that they could go in this direction of we're growing, we're doing things right, and then we can look back at all the things that are going, boy, that wasn't very smart, was it? But no, we keep dividing off and doing a good thing, not so good thing, a good thing, a bad thing. It's like
we just keep getting it. The lacrosse keeps getting in lacrosse's way.
That's it. They keep tripping over their own feet, and that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Alrighty, let's get on to the junior stuff. We got a lot of NLL to cover in a little bit there. The juniors are into the finals here in Ontario, and something amazing happened, Mike. Yes, Orangeville lost. I didn't think that was going to happen this year, but Burlington took them in game 1, 12-10. Played a fantastic game, and they beat them in Orangeville at that. Talk about a quiet barn.
Yeah, impressive. So
now a lot of people are talking about how would they react to that, and me personally, I think that they're that much more dangerous now because there's a lot of pressure to being perfect. Just ask the Toronto Argonauts. But anyways, now that they have a loss, they don't have to worry about being perfect and having to do everything perfectly. And now they become a very, very dangerous team because they are a very good team. In fact, when they came back on Friday out in Burlington, the Northmen beat Burlington 10-6. The next game goes tonight at 8 p.m. in Orangeville for Game 3. This is a barn burner. It's going to be a fantastic series. Remember, winner not only wins the Erica Trophy, but they also go to the Minto Cup in Edmonton. So a lot on the line for this. Before I go to Ontario Series, Shawn, how about some Western Lacrosse Juniors?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess we'll go with the BC Juniors first of all, because actually we have a participant in the Minto Cup now. Just this weekend, Coquitlam took their series 4-1 against the Victoria Shamrocks. The Adanacs won 10-6 last Sunday to take the 3-1 series lead in the best of 7. And then they finished it off in Game 5 last night, actually. Doubled up the Shamrocks 14-7. So we know at least one participant that's heading into the Minto Cup. Then over into Alberta. And actually, I guess we'll know another one because we already know that the Edmonton Miners are in the final and they're hosting. So basically the semifinal between the Calgary Mounties and the Okotoks Raiders is kind of going to decide that other spot for Alberta. So last Sunday,
there was a time when Okotoks was in every Minto Cup because there just wasn't anything coming out of Alberta. That's not such a given anymore, is it?
No, not at all. Especially if we've seen what Edmonton did last year.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sleep on those Alberta teams anymore.
No, they were a goalpost away from winning the Minto Cup.
Yeah. And the way they're going, it could be another one, but we'll see, especially on home floor. But yeah, the Mounties defeated the Raiders 8-7 in Game 6 of their best of 7 semifinals. So that advanced them on to meeting the Miners in the final. So the Miners open up the championship with a 16-6 win on Wednesday. Very next night, the Mounties rebound for a 12-7 win. So that series is now even at 1-1. So Game 3 of that best of 5 series goes Tuesday, Game 4 Thursday, and then Game 5, if necessary, on Friday.
Nice. And Eduardo has joined us. Eduardo, hello.
Hey, Eduardo.
We are well. How are you doing? What part of the country are you in? Are you back in Florida? Are you somewhere in North Carolina? Are you in the backwoods of Wyoming? I don't know anymore.
Hopefully it's somewhere sanctioned.
Sanctioned. That's the word. It has to be sanctioned. Our show is sanctioned, so we're good. We're good to go. We've been sanctioned by EOP Sports. All we need. In the Ontario Series lacrosse, God, sanction. That's the new word of the week.
Yep.
You have the finals starting up this Friday, August 11th. It's going to be at the Oakville, the Toronto Rock Athletic Center for Game 1. Six Nations, as you remember last week before we went off the air, they were battling the Brooklyn Merchants in the deciding game. And I believe Brooklyn was ahead. Six Nations wound up pulling ahead and winning that game and moving on. So it's the Six Nations Rivermen against the Oakville Rock for the Ontario Series Lacrosse Championship and the right to represent for the President's Cup that's going to be held in Oakville. Should be a great series. Best 2 out of 3, and game number 2 will be Saturday night at the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena. And I'm making plans to get myself over to that one. And then if game 3 is necessary, it will be Wednesday, August the 16th at the Rock Athletic Center. And we will see who's headed to the President's Cup. Eduardo's in Jacksonville. Till December. Then he'll be in Vancouver.
There goes the Vancouver.
Somehow I have a feeling that he'll be somewhere sooner than that. Call me crazy.
Somewhere sanctioned.
Yes. Don't go unsanctioned. No. Saskatoon, stay away from there, Eduardo.
Yeah, stay away from Saskatoon.
Don't forget to put on your sanctioned gear, okay? Put on your World Lacrosse helmet.
Yeah, it's sanctioned by World Lacrosse. Just got to make sure before we.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty. So let's move ourselves on over to the PLL, Premier Lacrosse League. They have 2 games going today, but they had 2 games yesterday. Today, if you are following along there, the Redwoods are playing Chaos at 1. So basically, not long after we get off the air, and that's on ABC. And at the 3:30 game will be the Water Dogs versus the Cannons. That's going to be a huge game. Both teams are 4-2. Cannons have been just blowing everything up along the way. Let's see what they're going to Anyways, Eduardo will visit you, Shawn. Don't worry. Anyways, so we had our first game yesterday, which was a barn burner, guys. And I'm still wounded a little bit, but, it was a heck of a game. And I told you guys as the game was going on, win or lose, this was probably the game of the week. The Archers against Atlas.
Yeah, so Atlas took a halftime lead, surprisingly. Chris Gray had a fantastic game, had 4 goals, had a 2-point goal and 2 assists, but unfortunately they couldn't solve Tom Schreiber at the end of the game.
I actually think they couldn't solve Mac O'Keefe, because Mac O'Keefe had a lot to do with the playmaking and keeping balls in, and he had a huge move in overtime there and knocking the ball out of bounds to keep possession, which wound up becoming a pass to Schreiber for the game-winning goal. And in Schreiber's interview at the end of the game, he brought all props to Mac O'Keefe.
Yeah, he's been a big boost to the team. O'Keefe
ends weird plays though on route to that, though, eh, Mike?
A couple, yeah. The face off to start overtime, I didn't quite understand what the violation was on Baptiste.
Neither could he. Neither could he.
Yeah, and then there was the little mishap, and Eduardo did the recap, and I kind of touched it up, but I didn't want to put it in print so much because I knew we'd be talking about it. The PLL did institute a rule recently where late in a game in the 4th quarter, if a team is in the lead, they discourage the leading team from committing a penalty by adding 10 seconds to the game clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, it kind of keeps it keeps a team that's in the lead from kind of using that tactic to kind of stall things or disrupt
But they changed
chance
that
of
in
a
this one
comeback.
with the teams being tied.
Yes, but so what happened was there was an infraction committed on the final possession for Archers, but because the game was tied, they did not add the 10 seconds to the clock. So, time ran out and
They
went
served the
to
penalty in
overtime.
overtime. So actually three whammies on that play because they wind up with Atlas winds up with a penalty. They wind up with some form of losing the draw that they won, and then they wind up with getting possession in their own end and losing it, and Mac O'Keefe kicking it out of bounds and gaining possession, and seconds later it's over to Schreiber and in the net. So a lot of weird stuff that went on near the end of that game, but that doesn't take away from the rest of it, man. And it's funny because Atlas started out slow. They were down by a couple, and then the Atlas team that I'm used to seeing reared its head. And Jeff Teat with what Jeff Teat does best and being a visionary on the field and finding guys like Chris Gray, finding guys like Eric Law, and these guys looking like the team that was in the hunt last year, not the team that's been having problems this year. And the last few minutes, it looked like they just kind of took the foot off the gas. They just were down. The 2-point goal took it out of them. It just took the air out of them. And then Schreiber's tying goal, that was them. And they put up a bit of a fight, but I don't know about you guys, but I had a bad feeling as soon as the face-off went the other way that this was not going to be an Atlas afternoon.
Yeah.
But if there is something good to take out of it, is that Atlas took this team to the very brink. Should have come away with the win, and they can build from this. There's still plenty of time, and as long as Chrome's in there, they
Rome beating Rome.
if they can just kind of right the ship enough that they're in a good frame of mind with the talent that's on this team, they would be the surprise horse in the playoffs, which is weird with a lineup that they have. But that being said, we move on over to the Chrome game against the Whip Snakes, and it was closed until the national anthem, eh, Shawn?
Yeah, Chrome actually it was close at the half, to be fair. But yeah, Whip Snakes took down Chrome 12-5, so their Chrome remains the basement dwellers in the PLL. I guess it helps with the Whip Snakes when PD LaSalle goes 20 for 20 on the face-off dot, had 19 ground balls. That definitely helps.
Hey, just a question, Mike. Outside of this, now that I mentioned Pete LaSalle, with Albany getting Nardella back, do you think he's on the market? Should Philadelphia be looking at maybe trading Rambo over there and getting LaSalle for a face-off guy since they don't have one now?
Well, LaSalle is with New York.
Sorry, New York. My mistake.
So with the Riptide. So
yeah. Thornberg's are still there, right? So
he is, but I assume he's no, he wasn't on the UFA list, was he?
No, he wasn't.
So he must be locked up then, because he's definitely.
He signed mid-year last year, right? So I'm assuming that he wasn't going to be just for a half a year in and out, right?
Right. So he must be in the middle of a multi-year deal. Thornburg.
Yeah,
he's not on the UFA list.
Thornburg was already on there. Yeah.
So,
if he's locked up and you got LaSalle,
that's an interesting. But
that would work out for what New York's trying to do too, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're New York though, I mean, if you included LaSalle in the Callum Crawford deal, I got to think you're strongly considering rolling the dice on going with him for next year.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll look to move Thornburg elsewhere, or you'll just
Yeah,
or you'll just keep Thornbert and you'll just look, concentrate on defense. I mean,
right.
look what it's done for Brad Cree
Mm-hmm.
the last few
Yeah.
years, not having to take faceoffs for Toronto.
Right.
So
it just seems kind of especially with the ready-made thing that Philadelphia is needing a face-off guy, and looks like Rambo is the odd man out of all the activities come on that we'll get into in a little bit. Sorry, Shawn. We're just finishing up with the with the Chrome game.
Yeah. Anyways, as I was mentioning, it wasn't lopsided until the second half. It was actually 5-4 for the Whipsnakes at the half. So Chrome was right into it, but then they got outscored 7-1 in the second half. I do give props to Cross Ferreira for Chrome. He had 3 of 4 goals in the first half for Chrome. But guys like Jesse King, Ryan Tarafenko, Logan Wisniewskis, none of those guys found the back of the net for Chrome. Those are guys you're looking to produce, and they're not. On the other side, Whipsnakes, Michael Chenchenchuk had 6 points, hat trick, and then 2-point goal. And Will Manny had 2 goals and 2 assists. And that win now just kind of puts the Whipsnakes kind of in that cluster of 3 wins and the standings. So they're right in the mix. But Chrome's still trying to find answers.
Right. Just a little highlight package of some of the things that went on in yesterday's games.
Time and room, a bouncer near side. That's a difficult shot. Incredible placement. Incredible.
He was a quarterback. He's just a born athlete.
He's on the wings of face-offs. He's playing.
He was a basketball player in high school. In that loss to the Atlas. But it's his ability to get to the rack. And I love the shooting.
Turned away by Kincannon. Adler giving chase. Had some English on it. Archer's keeping it back.
What a play. What a play.
Challen Rogers. Turned away by...
Right here. That is time to roll. And that is time to go flight.
Jumping that. Summing that.
Few takes out of that one. One was Mac O'Keefe, and exactly what I'm talking about. The effort to keep the ball in and get the ball back in possession. The second thing was Connor Fields, and just the absolute insanity plays that he makes. Another one would be Cross Ferreira, and how he's just stomped onto the scene. And again, just doing amazing things. And of course, Jeff Teat and his vision over to Eric Law and letting him do his thing. So lots of things. And today's upcoming games are going to be massive as well, like we talked about. Eduardo reminded me, of course, that we have guests going to be upcoming, which will probably be happening September onward. We want to try and get some of the NLL guys pre-training camp, talking about what their vision is, what they're going on. A couple of guys that we've been talking to. Aaron Bold is one of them who will be joining us. Corsell, right, from Philadelphia. Tony.
Yes.
Yeah. As well as we were talking Hammer, right?
I know we're talking Hammer.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few of them coming down the pipe, spread out, and we're going to try and get some other teams as well, and just have some guys come on, just briefly, just to give the lowdown of what their regiment getting ready for the new year, if they have new staffs or if they have new teams, what their thoughts are. So something to look forward to in the upcoming weeks, coming along with us. All right, let's move on over to the WLA, guys, and playoffs are well in gear.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Maybe a little quicker than we'd.
Yeah,
like.
my Shamrocks, man, they're like my So they're just, every time I think I'm going forward, it's just a crawl on my side.
Yeah, if you want, I guess I'll start off.
Yeah. Well, I was going to
so,
say, do we want to start with Monday in the final game of the season, even though it meant nothing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Take it away.
I mean, the
Sure.
Adanacs and Berards did play a game on Monday to finish out the regular season, but both teams are not in playoff contention. But Maple Ridge did come away with the 10-6 win, and it was really Berards from start to finish. They opened with a 5-goal run, and it was just a hole that was too deep for the Adanacs to dig themselves out of. Ryan Jones had 2 goals and 5 assists for 7 points for the Berards, while Dylan McIntosh had a goal and 3 helpers. And Gabe Prosek had 2 goals and an assist. On the other side, Keegan Bell and Matthew Delmonico both had a pair of goals for the Adanacs, and Clark Walter had 3 assists. So that closed out your WLA regular season. You can start there, Mike, on your series.
Yeah, and Prosik's another guy you're going to be looking forward to seeing possibly in the fall, right? The winner.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
So I think he'll be in the Rush training camp as well. So, yeah. So playoffs get underway, and I've been covering the matchup between top seed New Westminster and number 4 seed Victoria. Game 1 last Wednesday. Salmon Bellies come away with an 11-9 victory to take the series lead. Victoria actually had a 4-2 lead, I believe, after the first period. But New Westminster rallied. Mitch Jones, 3 goals, 4 assists. Will Malcolm, 2 goals and 3 assists. Keegan Ball had a goal and 4 assists. And Pat's favorite goalie, Zach Higgins, 41 saves for the victory.
For the what? For the victory.
Victory?
Oh, gosh.
So, for the Shamrocks,
formerly of Brooklyn fame, now
for the Shamrocks, Marshall King had 2 and 3, Casey Wilson 2 and 2, Tom Vason 2 and 1, Cam Dunkerley 29 saves in the loss. Guess I'll do game 2. Went down Friday at the Q Center in Victoria, and again, even wilder first period. Saw the Shamrocks leading again. This time they were up 7-6, but New West rallied again. Hayden Dixon scored his 5th goal late in the third, shorthanded, oddly enough, to give New West a 13-12 victory. So they're up 2-0 in best of 5. And
their next game doesn't go until next Wednesday.
They can close it out Wednesday at Queen's Park Arena. Again, Dixon, 5 goals. Mitch Jones had 2 goals and 5 assists. Keegan Ball, 1 goal and 5 assists. Higgins, 37 saves in the win. King had 4 goals and an assist for Victoria. Vason had a hat trick and 3 assists, and Chris Wardle had 5 assists in the losing effort. So game 3 Wednesday in New Westminster. Salmon Bellies have a chance to punch their ticket to the WLA final.
I guess we move on to Nanaimo and Langley. So number 2 Langley against number 3 Nanaimo. Game 1 went Tuesday, and Langley was seeing a bit of a message early as they had a dominating 14-6 win in game 1. Langley went on an 8-goal run between the first and second period and took a 9-point lead at that point, which, I mean, that's tough to come back from. Yes. Some question marks with Langley's defense, though. I mean, Langley was outshot 57-47. Chiliano came up with, 51 saves in the win. Connor Robinson with a hat trick for Langley. Zach Mans had 2 goals and 4 points for Nanaimo, which kind of just set up into game 2, which is a bit more of a high-scoring affair. Langley did come out with the 17-10 win, so now they're taking that commanding 2-0 lead in the 5-game series. Nanaimo was actually leading this 10-9 heading into the third period. However, again, Langley came up with another 8 unanswered goals in the third period for the win. Robert Church, huge game. Sock trick, 6 goals and 6 assists for 12 points.
Wow.
And I mean, for Nanaimo, it's just those lapses. They've had those 2 games where they're just right into it, and all of a sudden, bang, there's like 8-9 goals by Langley, and they're out of it. So if Nanaimo doesn't want to get swept, it's pretty simple. Just stop those huge runs with Langley. So as mentioned, Game 3 goes Tuesday, and with Langley having a chance to sweep that series.
Alrighty. So it brings us over to Major Series Lacrosse. Just before we get into the all the action, they announced their award winners at the beginning of the week, and just for everybody's knowledge, Riley Hutchcraft, he won Defensive Player of the Year. It's a little odd to me that there were no defensemen that would win the Defensive Player of the Year, but he was a great backstop for Brooklyn and is keeping them in this series with Peterborough as we speak. David Anderson, he was a Rookie of the Year, had a great year and is having a great year. One of the bright spots up on the Coburg side. Best goals against average, and best goalie really is Warren Hill. He looked great as a field goalie for Six Nations in San Diego, and he's just kept going. He's just, every time I see him play, he's just that much more the goaltender that we expect. And he is just a brick wall and a playmaker on top of everything. So he is going to be very, very dangerous in the Six Nations goal, both on the saving percentage as well as being a playmaker. Holden Katoni, he was the leading scorer of the MSL this year. Lyle Thompson, most valuable player, certainly made an impact, stepping away from PLL and staying with Six Nations this year. And, of course, the Six Nations bench was the bench staff of the year. Now, we spent all this time talking about no, Doug, we haven't gotten to the NLL stuff yet. We're just finishing up with the MSL, and we will get to the big stuff in a minute. But so we're talking about MSL playoffs, and for the first little bit, they were on opposite days, which was terrific. Starting tonight, or starting the other night, they were at the same day, same time. Tonight, both games are at the same time. And then Tuesday, Game 4 will both be at the same time. So you could do it opposite nights, guys. It really wouldn't kill you. The guys like me can actually go and see all of the games, not just read about one. Anyways, or watch it later. The first game was Six Nations playing Coburg in Six Nations. And, it looked to be a pretty good game to start with. It was 2-0 after the first period. And the thing that stood out to me was that Coburg was keeping up. Some great defense by great goaltending by Steve Orleman, who had started. And, it looked like it was going to be a decent game. All of a sudden, the second period happened. And the roof came with a resounding thud, came crashing down on Coburg. It was a 10-1 period. It was 12-1 at the end of 2. Penalty trouble? Yes. But really, it was transition. Six Nations was running Coburg all over the floor, using their speed, using their passing abilities, and they just didn't have any answers. And they just ran amok. And eventually, 32 minutes into the game, Jackson Brown came in to replace Steve Orleman. And literally, I think it was 9 seconds after he jumped into the game, Six Nations scored. Welcome to the game. So that was how that all came. In the third period, Six Nations took their foot off the gas, kind of just tried to get to the end of it. However, it got very, very ugly, very, very chippy near the end of the third period, with Coburg taking an awful lot of penalties. Curtis Connolly for unsportsmanlike and taunting. double on that one. Austin Murphy, unsportsmanlike, abusive officials, more unsportsmanlike, high sticking major. It got to be a little much. There was a couple little skirmishes and things like that. But we got to the end of the game, and the final score of game 1, 15-3. Six Nations makes an emphatic point that they are going to the Mann Cup. Lo and behold, the next night we have Peterborough playing their first game, and more or less Peterborough had control of this game over Brooklyn. It was 6-2 after 1, and it was 10-5 after 2. Again, Peterborough took their foot off the gas a little bit. Brooklyn got back in the game, but it was a 12-9 final. They dug a little bit too big of a hole to come out from. Now, if there's a bright spot, Brooklyn did take it to Peterborough. They got 53 shots on Landon Kells, so he had a great night. 42 shots for Peterborough against Riley Hutchcraft. But overall, Peterborough really wasn't in any trouble in this game. So we move over into Thursday. No, we're into Friday. And again, we had Peterborough and Brooklyn. And again, Peterborough jumped out to a 7-3 lead in the first. It was 9-7 after 2. And a goal bonanza in the third where it was 5-5 in goals. And Peterborough hung on in this one for a 14-12 victory. Bright side, the guys that had to have big games for Brooklyn, Connor Kiernan, Brady Kiernan, Tanner Cook, they all had decent games. And if they're awake and running, they're going to give Peterborough some trouble. Now, Drew Hutchison was in net this time for Peterborough just to give him some work. And Riley Hutchcraft was still in net for the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. For one more game, Thursday night was also Six Nations against Coburg. It was a low-scoring affair. And everybody thought this was a penalty-filled thing. No, it wasn't that. It was that Stephen Orleman was spectacular in net. He faced 61 shots, and he made 54 saves. He saw a lot of rubber and held Six Nations to a 7-5 win. Now, the thing was, it was 5-5 with only a couple of minutes left. And Larson Sundown scored with 3 minutes and 42 seconds left, and then scored again with 3 minutes and 11 seconds left to pull this game out for Six Nations. Another wonderful signing by Six Nations, pulling them away from the West. Hey, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tonight in Peterborough, I'll be up there. The Lakers are playing Brooklyn. And tonight in Six Nations, you are going to have the Coburg Kodiaks against the Six Nations Chiefs in Game 3 of their best-of-7 finals. So, barring anything crazy, Game 4 goes Tuesday, and we'll see what happens in the best-of-7 series. You could have picked other nights, guys. Really? Seriously. I don't have a whole lot of time in my life as it is, and now I got to rewatch games after I've already been to games. So it is what it is. Now, as what was asked of me a minute ago by Doug Marcus, here we go. The first thing on the NLL stuff is a couple of trades. And we know that Philadelphia made the trade last week to get Holden Katoni for Hunter Lemieux, really. This was the big blockbuster. The Wings received Scott Dominey and Mike McCannell plus an 18th overall pick in 2023. The Seals received Trevor Baptiste. I know you're all sitting for that one. The rights to Kyle Jackson and the 22nd overall pick in 2023. And the Riptide received Kyle Matisse, Matt Anderson, 32nd overall pick 2023, third round pick in 2025. Let's analyze this a little bit there, guys. First of all, Trevor Baptiste asked for the trade because of work commitments, and Philadelphia was gracious enough to work it out for him. Philadelphia getting Scott Dominy helps them in many ways. Flash is a fantastic transition player, a solid defenseman, and will be a big asset to the Philadelphia Wings lineup. Mike McCannell, though he hasn't cracked the lineup in San Diego because of the all-star team that they have fielded, drafted in 2021, was a first-round pick for San Diego and is a solid defenseman. And he stands a good chance of being able to make this Philadelphia squad. And I think that Philadelphia, taking lemons and making lemonade is what it is. They were able to overcome. Now, of course, they're in the market for looking for a face-off guy. But if they have the correct defensive scheme, if they can get a cause turnover guy, they can overcome that as well. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like the deal. I think it gets Philly to be a little younger, a little faster with both Dominy and McCannell. Obviously, losing Baptiste is a big deal. We just talked about the possibility of them trading with New York for LaSalla. Whether that happens, considering the Riptide were involved in this trade, I'm not so certain. But maybe they swap some draft picks and get Thornburg.
The price is right. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if LaSalla decides he's going to play box, and the Riptide want him, you might see the Riptide maybe look to move Jay Thornburg.
Yeah,
possible.
I mean,
no, I agree with Doug Marcus because no transition since losing Patton, Joaquim, and Charbonneau. The biggest one that jumps out to me out of those three is Charbonneau. That was the big price to pay to get Mitch Jones, they haven't.
Although I wouldn't discount losing Patton either, though, because he's been something else for Panther City.
Very true.
Him and Medeiros, pretty much are the cogs in their transition game. So,
no, it's one of those trades where you look at it, and I think everybody wins. The Seals have been dying for a face-off guy. Now they got Baptiste.
Oh, the rich just get richer in San Diego.
Oh yeah, and Kyle Jackson. I'm sure that they'll be able to work out a deal with him, and it's just about where to put him because they have so much talent there that it's going to be the guys they sit could be stars on any team in the NLL. That's the crazy part about all this.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at the acquisition of Kyle Jackson as basically the replacement for losing Casey Jackson, who signed with Vegas.
Yeah.
On that left side.
And Kyle Matisse over to the Riptide. Well, Dan McRae's gone, right?
Yeah. That is some leadership. Whether
that's
he
the leadership they're looking for, he's
yeah,
probably going to want it with the C there too, and he's going to be that defensive / transition guy that is going to be helping things along and working alongside Jeff Teat. Never hurts.
True. Not so certain on the C though. I think the plan is to make Riley O'Connor the captain, personally. So
either way,
I think
when you're going to put Hale on,
you put the assistant captain on Matisse, and he'll be fine with that.
That's a great problem to have, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing I like is all high draft picks. I mean, the third rounder in 2025, that might be maybe a throw in, but you're looking at first and second round picks being swapped here.
Yeah.
So these picks are probably going to turn into guys who are going to be most likely coming to camp, competing, either making the squad or making the practice roster.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. As your next Crowley or Dutch. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, of course, we had another trade on this to do. And this answered the question when first we heard about Batiste going over to San Diego. What are they going to do with Connor Farrell? Well, off he goes to Rochester. And interestingly enough, we're talking about low draft picks. These are both very high draft picks, 61st and 75th overall. So it's more or less just see you later, Connor. Thank you.
Well, but Rochester could use a face-off guy.
They could, but San Diego just basically was a
So.
throwaway there. They had to get him off the lineup, which is interesting because I'm sure they could have squandered more from Philadelphia since they just lost the face-off guy. That could have been thrown in as well. But interestingly enough, those are the two main trades. There's a lot more coming down the pipe, guys. Don't worry.
Oh, yes.
I got a feeling this week is going to be as busy as last week. Just to go through a number of these signings, a few biggies. Lyle is sticking around over in Georgia for 3 more years. I don't think anybody doubted that for a second. But we saw down the pipe that Miles has re-signed now that he's healthy, and he's going to be joining Lyle again. And if you remember, that was the 1-2 punch that won them the cup back in 2017.
Yep.
So this is
Jeremy's there taking
Now
face-offs.
Jeremy in the mix too.
Jeremy's
Yep.
there. Yeah, it always seems to be 3 out of 4, right?
Yeah.
Because when Jeremy was with Saskatchewan, Diana was over there. So, you can't seem to get all 4, but 3 out of 4 isn't bad.
and that's, it's the other thing I mentioned earlier about Brad Cree's improvement on defense by not having to take face-offs. Georgia's another example with Jordan McIntosh. Now that you have Jeremy Thompson taking face-offs,
Yep.
McIntosh can concentrate on, more proper transition play.
Mm-hmm. And, he's making a big punch there too. Georgia's going to be a scary team this year too, I think.
Yeah.
And
you're not going to see them opening 0-7.
No.
No. And Dauber's going to be a big thing. Dobson and that is going to be huge this year in his first full year. So much so that Craig Wendy is gone and still waiting to see where he winds up. It was mentioned to me that Vancouver would be an idea. Let Aiden Walsh keep developing elsewhere and maybe have a ready-made guy behind Aaron Bold. And that is an idea, but we'll see what goes on. Well, as long as he can win the face-off and get it to somebody, I guess, hey, Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure Como has a big idea going on in there. So moving along, Buffalo. They kept their players. Priolo, he's signed on for another year, as well as Nick Weiss, both on 1-year deals. Keeping the band together, eh, guys?
Yeah, that
If it ain't broken, I guess.
Yeah,
we
talked about this last year, and I brought it up in the P&M and AM show that I was on earlier in the morning. And the age thing is going to catch up sooner or later. When it does, it's going to catch up quickly. And unless they start getting some guys in these slots, these are a number of guys that are aging together, where this team grew together, it grew up together, it stayed together, but now it's going to get old together.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a point, I think, where you've got to break that. And I know we've talked about it off the air, but if I'm Cam Wires or Zach Belter or even Sam LaRue or Nathaniel Kozevnikov, who's having a great season in Langley, but can't get on the floor in Buffalo.
I'd want to.
I mean, I'm sure winning a ring was great, but to not really feel much like you were a part of it because you can't get on the floor.
Yep.
It takes even less time than it does for an aging team to decline, for these young guys to want out or not be happy with the fact that they're not getting on the floor.
Yeah,
Right.
and here's the other thing. You look at that aging team, you're going to have that downslide as they age, and then you're going to have to blow the whole thing up. Where you're going to have a whole bunch of young, inexperienced guys, and that decline is just going to be slow. It's just going to continue and be lengthened and extended.
Now, Buffalo also signed Bryce Sweeting to a 1-year agreement and Justin Martin to a 1-year agreement, put a qualifying offer to Adam Bombury. I just want to get back to Georgia for a quick second because they did a number of things near the end of the week. They signed Miles Ham to a 2-year agreement, Gage Board to a 2-year agreement, Lucas Nagy and we all know him from his stuff with Cobra. With Brampton. 2-year agreement. Dustin Hill also to a 2-year agreement. So there's going to be lots of goalies in camp.
Yep.
So, kind of odd, but that Dobson is the number one. Let's move on over to Halifax, and this is a big one. Eric Fennell has done nothing but improve and improve and improve. We talked about it last year, how it was important for him to be the guy and to really take a hold, and he did. And so he's back, and they signed Zach Kerrigan to a 2-year deal as well. And I think that's big too. He had a big summer and is having a big summer with Brooklyn as well. So thoughts, guys?
I'd say, big win obviously on the offensive end. We know that Jammer signed, I believe, a 3-year deal, and most people are thinking this is probably his final contract.
He signed a big one, right? He signed like for 5 years or something like that.
I think it's that was a while ago. I think the extension he signed was for 3 years.
And it'll be morphed into a coaching position at some point. You watch.
Probably, but when you're looking at that for short-term window, they re-signed Benesh. That's probably 1 year. It's I think Benesh has said himself he's looking at this year probably being his last year playing. So top 2 of your top lefties there.
Sure. They also signed Warren Hill to a 2-year agreement, and also a qualifying offer to Chris Bushy. So they're keeping the band together.
And got to remember they're getting Nuncan Thompson back. He was pretty much injured all last year. They signed Jeremy Winston, who's a very interesting prospect, to, I believe, a 3-year deal as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of young defenders over there, and I don't think all of them are going to end up making the squad. And that's even if you have guys like, I don't know if we know the status of David Brock. He had re-signed with them, but he sounded kind of like maybe this past year was going to be his last two. I think he had retired, and then he got talked into playing last year.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see him sign in there, and it is what it is. But I don't know, because he also got hurt at the end of the playoffs.
I think he's definitely still playing.
He's with Six Nations,
playing at a high level. But if the injuries are mounting up, that's another opening. But if not, again, relative to all the young guys, you're gonna have a few young guys in that group that may not end up making the squad. So you could see. I don't want to throw names and just say that they're definitely going to be free agents, but there's going to be a lot of, I think, talent going into Halifax training camp that won't be making the squad.
Yeah.
Come December.
Yeah.
So you may have a lot of teams looking at the Maritimes.
Again, that's a pretty good problem
for a pickup. Yeah,
pretty big problem to have. Started. Pretty good one.
Yeah, it's a pretty good problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Colorado made a big splash this week. First off, they got the Dylan Ward franchise tag, but Eli McLaughlin, he's signed on for a couple of years.
Huge.
That's big, yeah. Liger is a big piece of that puzzle. Joey Capito, remember him? He's back. He's working on the bench with Six Nations because he will be back this year. By December, that blown out Achilles should be just fine. So he should be rehabbed and ready to go. And if he's anywhere near what he was, look out, because that was the one thing missing Colorado in the finals was the transition game.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Wonder what that series would have looked like. I can sit there all day long wondering, right? Moving along, Connor Watson has re-signed with the Mammoth. Chris Veltman is now with the Mammoth, as well as a goalie in Caleb Martin, who's an excellent goalie, and he's going to be in camp. Also, Nate Facken is going to be in camp as well. So there is a lot of pieces that are in that Colorado lineup, and most of it's staying put, which makes them even more dangerous. You know, the Ryan Lees are still there. All the guys, the Connor Robinson, all the guys that make it scary good for the last few years are back.
That battle for the backup goaltender could be interesting, though. Facken's had some good summers.
Mm-hmm.
You're mentioning Caleb, and I mean, Tyler Carlson's getting a bit old on the teeth there, and I mean, he's a perennial
Tough to open
backup.
up that door for the 5, eh?
Yeah, he's a perennial backup. Like, how long do you hold on to that, right?
Yeah. Like I say, Colorado is going to be scary good. Now, Albany came in with Connor Kelly this week, re-signed, which is big over there. Because remember, a lot of their guys are going to be coming back from injury. And they had a horrible time last year of everything going wrong at the wrong time. And,
So I mean, him, again, Charlie Kitchen coming back from injury. You'll have McArdle coming back from injury. You're going to get a full season of Marshall Palace, which will be huge.
Yep.
So,
you have Mike Byrne, who's also part of that squad too, and that's going to be big as well. He's on a 2-year deal as well. So, this nucleus is going to stay together. Brent Mitchell also is on a 2-year deal too. So, so Glenn Clark is going to have some pieces to work with, which is pretty awesome. And
plus that number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Let's not forget.
Well, Stagger Clark gonna look very good there, isn't he? Toronto, they made a few moves. Corey Small is back with them, 1-year contract. Billy Hostrauser, little muscle back there, he's back for a 1-year contract. Nick Rose back for a 1-year deal. Also, Josh Dawick. Now, what's the important part of them, other than being the owner's son, is that he's having a great summer with the Oakville Rock, and really coming into his own and really feeling it. And if you're looking at a guy who's got a really hard outside shot, he's your guy. He really, it's not so much he's the owner's kid and we'll just throw him in the lineup. He's earned everything he's gotten. And I got to tell you, I've known him since he was a little boy. And, when he scores, I'm almost jumping up and down myself like I scored. He just is that good a kid. And, I wish him all the best because, always level-headed, always there, raw, and just, very grateful. Not an arrogant kid at all. Very, very humble and a very athletic kid. Had a great college career at Colorado as well. Doug. Love his youth movement. Open a bad. And, now that they're getting healthy again, that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
As well as all the guys they had a chance to give opportunities to last year at the end of the season, the Jake Foxes and guys like that who ran with the opportunities. So, I think that there's going to be a lot of really cool decisions that Glenn Clark has at his fingertips to make the Albany Firewolves a team that people fear once again.
Yeah, and let's not forget Jonah Boehm and Zach Tucci, a couple of guys that they were plugging in for faceoffs that, with Nardella coming back, maybe teams who are in need of faceoff guys are looking towards Albany.
Right.
Even Mike Byrne, too, is capable of taking faceoffs. So we got a few guys that could move.
Okay, let's move ourselves over to Calgary. I had the one signing there that was huge, which is Josh Courier. Massive.
Yeah.
Also, they had qualifying offers to Shane Simpson, Eli Salama, Tyler Place, and they've also put the franchise tag on Jeff Cornwall, just to get up to date with all of that. Moving along, we have Philadelphia, and the big one that we've talked about already is Deacon Knott is signed, and in my eyes, will be the backup goalie to start with this year. Now, one of the other things that make it interesting, and I brought it up in the other show as well, was that for Zach Higgins, when you have Angus Goodleaf on the bench, whose best years was 5 to 10 years ago, you don't worry about your job too much because you know it's not in jeopardy. When you have a hungry up-and-coming kid who has a lineage that won a gold medal for Team Canada with the Peterborough Juniors, who is in the makings now to win the OJLL championship and maybe a Minto Cup, who's clamoring to become a number one goalie in the NLL and as a Peterborough product, Paul Day, Peterborough, you tend to want to be at your best for 60 minutes or 65 minutes every game. And something tells me we're going to have a career year out of Zach Higgins this year. There won't be any concentration lapse, any weird things going on that's not his, that isn't his control coming down the ends of games. So I think that's going to be big for everything. And then I do expect to see Deacon start getting some starts because he's got to get his feet wet here in the NLL at some point, and this would be a good time to do it, especially if they're bolstering up their defense like I know they are. They also signed Tony Carcel, which is one of the guys who we're going to have on in the next while as a guest, talking about getting ready for camp and also about everything that's gone into becoming an NLL player. Let's move along. We're into San Diego. And, of course, as well as the big trades and the signing, or the hopeful signing of Kyle Jackson, you also signed Eli Goldbruch to a 2-year deal. You've also got Adam Noakes that's signed to a 2-year deal. And the big one, Trey Leclerc, to a 2-year deal. Paul Day earning his money this summer. Yeah, you know what? He's been very, very busy, and I don't see a reason why anybody would be unhappy with what he's doing out there. He's making a lot of efforts to tinker with the lineups. He's bolstering from everywhere I see, and he's systematically doing it. He looked at the goaltending. He's looked at the offense. He's now looking at transition, and I expect this week probably some of the defensive things will be going a little bit further as well. Back with Albany, sorry. I should have moved that up. Tanner Buchan, that's big. He's had a great summer so far in the MSL. He's been a huge contributor. And, we'll see if he can crack that lineup because you know what? There's a lot of really good players there now in Albany.
Yep.
Let's move on over to New York. Now, of course, with the trade, they've got a couple of big pieces in there. But they signed JT Giles Harris to 2 years. Corson Keeley's coming back for 2 years. Tyler Davis on a 2-year deal. This is big. Cam Dunkerley coming back on a 1-year deal, having a good summer, but he was what was helping right the ship. And by the looks of things, Steve Orleman is seemed to find his mojo again, and that'll be a good battle. I think that'll be a very good battle.
Yep.
Come training camp, and that can only make the both of them better players. Something you don't hear in the mix is Kevin Orleman. He was part of that team too. So let's see, journeyman backup goalie, but down the stretch, he until he got hurt, he was actually looking pretty good. One more for us over there, and that is Max Wayne is signed on for 2 years. So what they're trying to do, obviously, is keep a nucleus together and try and build from there. So Rich Lisk is trying to give them a new facelift. But again, everything's going to run through Jeff Teed, Riley O'Connor, and let's see what happens. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely on board with the signing of JT Giles Harris. Just seeing what he did last year out in the field for Chrome, was impressive. So like to see him bring that inside the box and see what he can do.
So Doug's asking us, O'Keefe's going to stay in San Diego. I see no reason why he's going to leave. I see no reason why if San Diego would want him to leave. Yeah, JT Giles there, top 5. Yeah, that should translate with body on body defense. Bulls need to learn how to cover without the long stick. Absolutely. One of the knocks of many knocks of field goal in the box is the stick size, and learning to play in close and learning how to work in tight. That's why box guys have such a more of an easier time converting the field as opposed to the other way around. But if anybody's going to do it, I'm sure that he is going to find a way.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving along. We have a couple of Panther City guys. We have Brandon Goodwin signed on with Panther City. Cole Pickup. So with Panther City as well. We got a big one there out of Saskatchewan that went to Vancouver, Shawn.
Yeah.
2 of them actually.
Ryan Dilks.
That's huge.
That's
part of that Molosky field to get some defensive leadership and maturity out there. Something that was lacking a lot last year.
Yeah,
when things were going sideways, there was no one there to straighten the guys out and get them back to where they needed to be.
Yeah, we've seen Ryan Dilks the leader through and through, and that actually surprises me that the Rush didn't re-sign him because they've got a really, really young defensive core, and that's probably a piece they're going to miss is having veteran leadership. But hey, we'll see what happens.
Well, that's
still lots out
pieces,
there,
really, right? With Rubish not taking a franchise tag and testing free agency, and I still expect to see him either in Buffalo or Toronto. And, of course, this one, too. Matt Beers is going back to Vancouver. He had a nasty falling out with the old management crew, and now that every one of them is gone, whoop, back he goes, which is where he never should have left. That is where he is known for, and that's where he belongs. And I have a feeling he's going to make a huge, huge impact when it comes to what's going on in Vancouver. And already Vancouver is leaps and bounds ahead of where they were.
The Molosky effect.
Yeah. I mean, you put that together, now you've got Beers, Dilks, Midsky, Cadron for leadership and experience, and then you're going to mix that with some of the guys like Matt Delmonico, Harrison Smith, Steph Charbonneau. That's Hamer Jackson. That's going to be a pretty solid defensive unit.
Yeah.
Going into camp.
Definitely. Moving on to Las Vegas, and they've done a lot of things too. The biggest one was re-signing John Phillips. He extended his contract. He had a terrific first year with them. As well, Las Vegas signed Charlie Bertrand to a 1-year agreement, James Barkley to a 2-year agreement, Conrad Chapman to a 1-year agreement. So they've been busy.
And that left side's going to look pretty solid. Now you've got Phillips, you've got Casey Jackson, you've got Bertrand. The assumption is they'll re-sign Reed Reinhold if he's not already under contract.
Right. They also made a lot of 2-year agreement signings too, and that was Peyton Wallace to 2 years, Dylan Watson to 2 years, John Wagner to 2 years, Jake Saunders to 2 years, Jack Hanna, who had an awesome year last year, to a 2-year agreement, Connor Kirst to a 2-year agreement as well.
Yeah. Plus they had that trade with Sam Firth going to Albany for Thomas Vason. So you're going to have him on the left-hand side too. So you have 5 solid lefties going into training camp.
Tell me this West Division is going to be fun to watch this year. Oh,
God.
Yeah.
It's the creme de la creme in both divisions now. It's just incredible. Rochester was a team that we really haven't talked much about. And they signed Dylan Sprents to a 2-year agreement. Protected practice player Parker Pfeiffer to a 2-year agreement. That's going to be big because he's having a great summer in MSL. If he needed to prove that he can play with the big boys, I think he's already proved it. He's already been running amok in the ALL. He's ready to make the next leap. And I think Rochester will find a spot for him. Curtis Romancich to a 2-year agreement. And another name that keeps popping up both in ALL and MSL is Penn Eistrat, who had a great summer, one of the bright spots in Brampton. So I'm looking forward to all the things that Rochester is going to be pulling off in the next little bit as well, because it's just incredible. Oh, Doug Keenan blowing up the team, done it before in Edmonton and Portland. Yeah, it's he's gotten younger, but he's also gotten some decent players in return.
Yeah,
He knows how to draft.
Yeah, the draft is still to come, and Keenan is notorious for stock pretty good sight on a few guys coming up. Don't be surprised if you see a few Spocky and eyebrow moves come that draft.
Yeah, you just look at last year's draft with Austin Madronic. No one had him on the board in the first round. Look what he's done. Like he had
he was
tapered off near the end. He tapered off near the end of the season, but he had a really good start. I mean, he's going to be a very good player, and that's something that only Derek Keenan saw.
Yeah, I say the diamond in the rough of last year, really.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I would add, in response to Doug's comment, I know Shawn had similar concerns about losing all the veteran leadership, but just look at kind of the core they have on defense now with Holden Garland, Bobby Kidd III. You've got Isaac and Jew. You've got Jared Smith.
Yep.
You've got Boudreaux and Barnable, who are going to be, healthy and, a full second season from each. That's a pretty decent core. And the thing I kind of speculated was we always talk about, veteran leadership. You got to have older guys. They know what they're doing. What's to say that these new breed of lacrosse players aren't maturing faster than expected?
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
I know we talked about that, and I know Keenan has been very high on guys like Holden Garland, even McConnell, Connor McCollin, and you got BK3, Billy Kidd III back there, and you also have, let's not forget, you have Chiliano now in goal. You have a veteran goaltender who can maybe direct some traffic in front of him.
See, that's a big thing too, and I don't think he gets enough credit for this. And that's something that Saskatchewan has really been looking for the last couple of years. And Rushka is still there also, and under the direction of Scigliano. And don't think that having Rushka there isn't going to push him to the brink also, like we're talking about a couple of the other places.
Yeah.
So you have the future there. You have somebody that's going to right the ship now and also teach your defense how to do the slides and moves so that everything is covered. And he's going to teach Ruska how to do that as well in his own way. And, both Western guys.
And you have that sort of glut at goalie because you have Bouquet under contract, you have Penny under contract. Someone's got to move. So maybe you're moving him to get a veteran defenseman back. And, I mean, there's still some guys out on the market too.
Yeah.
By far, do I think that this is over? Not a chance. I think we're just scratching the surface of stuff that's about to come down the pipe. I think this next week or 2 weeks, especially leading towards the draft, where guys teams want those draft picks for specific things, want to move up or down in the draft for certain things. I think we're going to see a lot of movement in the next little while. So again, stick with us, and you're going to 3, 4, 5 times a day, guys, because literally, as it's been anything in this last week, it's been continual. From morning to night, there's been stuff going on everywhere.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That about wraps us up for this week. I think we've covered just about everything we could possibly cover. We've got MSL going on tonight. You got WLA happening on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. But in between there, you got an awful lot of NLL stuff that's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if we're back reporting stuff later this afternoon of signings and moves. So it doesn't take a break for the Ontario Civic holiday tomorrow. But I'll be on the road in a couple hours heading to Peterborough to have a gander at the Lakers and Brooklyn Game 3. over and keeping on my phone the, of course, Six Nations and Cobra game, so I can stay up to date with that as well. Set one in front of the other. So remember, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Thread. You can find us on Instagram, and you can find us on all across all the time in YouTube. If you're looking for retro games, I was able to get one more put up, which is the 2000 game between the Pittsburgh Crossfire, which had an all-star team that used to be the Baltimore Thunder, which was both Gate brothers, Neil Doddridge, a number of other players. Very respectable team, playing the Toronto Rock, and they were in their heyday, just about to win their second championship. So if you go on over to our YouTube page, that game is up now as well. The other game that's up there for now is the 1992 or 1993 Buffalo Bandits winning the championship in Mill. There's more coming. There's a few more games being converted as we speak, and this is my project for the next while. I have about 60 or 80 tapes to put on over that I inherited from Bill Fox, and I am slowly getting them changed over, and hopefully I don't fall into too many copyright problems. I had the Stainhouse 17-point night, but I've got copyright problems, so I can't get YouTube to play it, so I've got to see if I can find ways around it. If anybody's a techie, DM me, and we'll see how we can get this game up. But again, you want to catch us 3, 4, 5 times a day because the news is always changing, and we have our fingers on the pulse of the situation. You can also check us out at EOP Sports. Go to www.eopsports.com/lacrosse for all of our articles and other things going on there. On our YouTube page is also interviews, recaps, and other things that are going on as well. Shawn, any final words?
Looking forward to going to Saskatoon and seeing what kind of situation I'm walking into. So
awesome. Thank you, Joseph. We appreciate that. Following from Kenya.
Awesome.
You are a world-renowned show. That is amazing. Thank you so much to everybody who's following us week to week. Mike, any final words? Sanction.
Yes.
Actually, I was going to say, Gary, when you're talking about Deacon Knott and you said he won with Team Canada Golden Juniors, it's not Team Canada, remember?
That's right. Unsanctioned. That's right.
Not Team Canada.
We'll go with Team Peterborough. How about that? My God. Unsanctioned. My goodness. I might get myself a letter in the mail now. Wow. Mike,
for me, I'm kind of hoping these Senior A games aren't sweeps, but I have a feeling we won't have much to look around at past midweek. So
yeah, but take a look at what these.
Yeah, I mean it's what we expected. You know, it's likely going to be Peterborough and Six Nations, which is going to be knockdown, drag out, and it's going to be Langley and New West with basically with both teams with something to prove. You know.
Yeah, and you're looking at both going to be long series. So by the time the Man Cup rolls around at the beginning of September, we're going to be seeing some absolutely fantastic lacrosse, which is ramping us right into the NLL draft, which is also ramping us into the NLL Hall of Fame ceremonies, which if you take a look at our site, there's a big article from the NLL that I put up to do with who's going in and all the upcoming things. The only thing the NLL hasn't told us is when they're going to release their new schedule, and I imagine that will be sometime mid to the end of September. Then we can all do our planning of our travels further. But anyways, again, come check us out 3, 4, 5 times a day. Also check out our YouTube page. Subscribe to our YouTube page, please. That would be fantastic. And again, more and more is going to be put on there with retro games and things like that. So you're going to want to be up to date with all that as well. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for this week. For Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. And again, I want to thank you all for coming aboard and joining us and participating with us as well. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us, and we hope we are able to reciprocate. Until next week, we will be on again at 11 a.m. on Sunday for the next 2 weeks for various reasons. Don't forget to come back and enjoy breakfast with the boys. And until next week, have a great week and keep your stick in your hands.
that.